Hey everybody, we're doing question 1. It's a SAT question. Let's solve 4x minus 2 is equal to 10. What is the value of 9x plus 5? Is it 15, 3, 32 or negative 3? So let's do our calculations by hand. So 4x minus 2 is equal to 10. So we need to solve for x. When we have x, we can substitute it into the second equation. So all we have to do here is to bring the 2 over to the right hand side, and we will change the sign. So the negative 2 becomes positive 2, and we will get a total of plus 12 on the right hand side. Now we need to just get x only, so let's divide both sides by the coefficient of x, which is 4. So 4 over 4 is 1, and 4 over 12 will give a result of 3. So x is equal to 3. So this is the first part. Now let's do the second part, and we're going to concentrate on the 9x plus 5. So 9x, the x is replaced by the 3 from the first part. Add your 5 in. So let's multiply out and let's see our final result. So 27 is 9 by 3 plus 5 will give a total of 32. So the answer will be C. Question 2. In the function below, c is a constant. If f of negative 1 is equal to 0, what is the value of f of 2? So let's look at the function. We first of all need to solve for c. So let's substitute negative 1 in instead of x. So f of negative 1 is equal to negative 3 by negative 1 plus c, and all of that is equal to 0. So therefore 3 plus c is equal to 0. Now this means that if we bring the 3 across, we will change the sign and c will be negative 3. We will use this now with the equation for our substitution of 2. So f of 2 is equal to negative 3. Substitute in your 2 and now replace the c with negative 3, and let's compute this out. So 3 by negative 2 will give a negative 6. We have a negative 3 from the c, so therefore f of 2 is equal to negative 9. So our answer is B. Hello everyone, we're doing a SAT multiple choice question. We're on to question 3. If x, y is the solution to the following system of equations, what is the value of x plus y? Well, first of all, let's read the two equations. 3x minus y is equal to 11. This is a linear equation. And x is equal to 4y. This is also linear. So we have some choices here, but first of all, let's do our calculations. So I'm going to take the 4y from the second equation, and I'm going to substitute it into the first equation. So I'm just going to go 3x will now become 3 brackets 4y. So I'm replacing the x with the 4y. Minus y is equal to 11. Now I have an equation with one variable. So let's multiply it out. So I will have 12y minus 1y is equal to 11. And you've guessed it, 11y is equal to 11. So therefore y is equal to 1. So we have the first part. So if y is equal to 1, remember that x is equal to 4y. So therefore x is equal to 4. So the answer is B. So thank you for watching Mathsplus, and have a look out for the next exciting video. Question 4. Which of the following is equivalent to the expression 2 brackets 2x minus 3 all to be squared minus brackets 3x plus 5? So we have 4 options here. They're all very similar. So what we need to do is to multiply this out fully, as we cannot really guess at this stage. So let's start off with the 2 by 2x minus 3 ought to be squared. So I'm just going to introduce a bracket here so I can manage this. So I have 2x minus 3. If it's squared, I'm going to double up on the original bracket. So I get 2x minus 3 alongside the original factor. Okay, so that's the square. So I'm going to close this bracket now, and then minus, so this negative will change the signs over here, so it'll be minus 3x, and the plus 5 will become a minus 5. Right, so that's a very important step now. So let's multiply everything out, and over here we're just going to match everything up. So 2x by 2x and 2x by 3 are the first pair of multipliers. So we'll get 4x squared minus 6x. Alright, so now for the next set, so minus 3 by 2x and minus 3 by minus 3, which will give minus 6x, and we have a plus 9. So use your calculator if you find those difficult. And then outside we have the 3x minus 5. So we're nearly there. All we have to do is multiply in our brackets. So these two terms will sum up to a minus 12. So we're going to multiply everything in now. So 2 by 4x squared minus 12x plus 9 minus 3x minus 5, and then we have the 8x squared minus 24x plus 18. Now our brackets are removed and we have all the terms outside. So let's do a summation now. So we have a minus 24x and a minus 3x, and that will give us a total of minus 27x squared. So 27x. So that's going to be either B or D. So let's look at the number, and we have a minus 5 and a plus 18. Okay, so that's going to give us a result. Again, use your calculator if you find it difficult. It will be plus 13. So the answer will be B. Hello everybody, we're on question 5. Let's read it out. John has 6 pairs of socks for every pair of shoes he owns. if he has 12 pairs of shoes and S pairs of socks, which of the following equations are true? Okay, so we have all those selections. So at the moment now, S is in a different position and we have different number sets. So what we're going to do is we're going to isolate S with algebra. So how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to get this value here, S. So let's say for the first one, 12S is equal to 6. Divide both sides by 12. And therefore we're going to get a cancellation over here. And as you can see then, S is equal to 6 over 12, which is also equal to 1 over 2. Okay, so that would be a half pair of socks, which doesn't really make sense. Let's look at the second one. So 6S is equal to 12. If that's the case, divide both sides by 6, and we will get 1S is equal to 12 over 6. And we know that that is going to be 2. So that doesn't really make sense to have 12 pairs of shoes and 2 pairs of socks. Okay, so let's go to the next one. So the rearranging the algebra is really helping us here. So we're going to get S over 6 is equal to 12. Let's multiply both sides by 6 in this case, as 6 is below and it's a fraction. So let's cancel the fraction. So S is equal to 6 by 12. And that will be 72. So you have to know your tables. So maybe that makes sense. And then let's look at the last one. I want to look at all the options. So for D then, we will have S plus 6 is equal to 12. Let's bring over the 6 and subtract it. Subtract it from both sides really. So we get 12 minus 6, which is equal to 6. So that doesn't make sense. So the answer here will be answer C. Question 6. What is the perimeter of a 45, 45, 90 triangle if the hypotenuse is 4 inches? So we have some choices here. So let's sketch out a triangle with those dimensions so we can analyze it. So we're going to have a 90 degree here, 45 degrees in here, and 45 degrees in here. So it's symmetric, and the hypotenuse, which is opposite the right angle, is 4. Everything's in inches. Alright, so let's apply Pythagoras theorem. But we're going to need letters here. So let's call this A. And if it's the same length, because it's symmetric, let's call this A as well, rather than putting in B. So we can say that 4 squared is equal to A squared plus A squared. Alright, so let's compute the numbers out. So we multiply 4 by 4 to get 16, and we have 2A squared over here. Okay, let's divide both sides by 2 now. So 16 over 2, and 2 over 2 is 1. So we get A squared is equal to 8 when we look back. Alright, so let's look at the square root of 8. So A squared is equal to 8, but remember 8 is 4 by 2. So we just go 4 by 2, and then we can square root both sides then. So we just go A is the square root of 2, which is 4, and then we do the square root of 2, which is square root 2. Okay, so this matches up with the format over here. Alright, so what we have to do now is we have to sum up for the full perimeter. So the perimeter will be 2A plus 4. So if we add in the 2A's, then it'll be 2 by root 2. So we'll get 4 root 2, and then we have a 4 outside. So the answer, if we look across, will be C. Hello, we're on question 7. The function f is defined as a polynomial. The table below gives the values for x and f of x. Which of the following must be a factor of f of x? So we have our choices down here, which look like factors: x, x minus 1, x plus 2, and x minus 2. So let's define what the factor means. So if we have a condition where if we put a value, let's call it x1, into the function, and we get a result of 0, which means it's on the x-axis. So if we have the root, which is on the x-axis, so the root would be equal to x1, then the factor would be equal to x minus x1, as we would bring it across and set it to 0. So if we had x here as the root, set it to x1, bring it across. So that's the factor. So we can see here that when we substitute 2 into f of x, our result is 0. So therefore 2 is a root, or x is equal to 2 is a root, or it's a solution. And also we can say that x minus 2 is equal to 0, and x minus 2 is a factor. So we have a result over here, and our answer will be D. Question 8. In the system of equations below, a is a constant and x and y are variables. For which of the following values of a will the system have no solution? If we look at the two equations, we can see that they're both linear. Remember, if we plot a linear equation, we will get a straight line. So if we have two lines which do not cross over, let's call it L and M, well, we will not get a solution to this condition. Alright, so what we need to do is manipulate the algebra so we can get the slope of each of the two lines, equate the slopes, and then solve for a. So I'm going to do this in stages as it is a difficult question. So first of all, let's take line M and we're going to get the slope. So remember, y is equal to mx plus c. So we're going to rearrange L in that format. So we're going to get L will be, I'm going to leave the 3y over here, and I will bring over my x. So when you bring over the x, you'll get negative 1x. You get minus 7 is already on the right hand side. And then we're going to divide across by the 3, so we'll get it into this format here. Y is equal to mx plus c. Minus 1 over 3x minus 7. So the slope of L is equal to the coefficient of the x, which is minus 1 over 3. So what we need to do now is to redo this with line M, and then we can get A isolated. So let's go on to line M, and we will get ax minus 2y. So we're bringing over the ax. We will get 2y minus ax. This is coming across, and we already have a plus 6. Divide across by negative 2, and we will get minus a over minus 2. Okay, and that's by x. So minus a over minus 2 by x is equal to mx. So our slope is a over 2. Alright, so this slope is equal to this slope. So now we can solve for a. So let's solve for a. So we're going to go a over 2 is equal to minus 1 over 3. Let's multiply both sides by 2. So we get a is equal to 2 by 2 over 2, and then multiply by 2 here. So we get minus 2 over 3. So our answer will be a. Question 9. In the graph below, lines H and K are perpendicular and they intersect at point 3a as shown. What is the value of a? So a is the y part of the coordinate of intersection. So based on the information, we need to find the slopes. So we're going to assign x to y2 over here. We're going to reuse that with the other 2 points. So our slope formula m is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So let's assign x1, y1 to both of these points down here, and that will be for line H, and x1, y1 for line K will be as such. So let's get our slopes. So slope H will be y2 minus y1, which will be a minus 0 over 3 minus 1. You can see x1 here is x1 over here, and x2 here is x2 over here. Okay, so this will give us a result of a over 4. So we call that m1. Go over to the other side and we get the slope of k, and we can say y2 is a minus y1, which is 0, over x2. So x2 is 3 minus 4. You can see y4, and that will give us a result of a over minus 1, which is minus a. So that's m2. So the lines are perpendicular, so if they're perpendicular, we can say that m1 multiplied by m2 will give a result of negative 1 for the product of two perpendicular lines. This is a proof. So let's put it all together in that equation. m1 multiplied by m2 is equal to negative 1 for perpendicular lines. Alright, so now we just need to solve. So we'll have a over 4 multiplied by negative a is equal to negative 1. So we will get a by a is a squared. It's negative. Multiply up by your 4. Multiply both sides by 4 really. So we'll get minus 4 on this side, and we will get 4 over 4 on the left hand side, and it will cancel. So we have just one more step now. We change the signs. So we get a squared is equal to 4, and square root both sides now, and a is equal to 2. A is equal to 2, therefore the answer is B. Question 10. For f of x, m is a constant, and f of negative 2 is equal to 4. What is the value of f of 6? Here is our expression. The most important thing we need to do today is to make our substitution. So let's substitute f of negative 2 in instead of x. And we will get f of negative 2 is equal to minus 2 squared with a bracket plus m brackets negative 2 minus 3. So in the first step, all we need to do is to substitute in our value instead of x. So that's done. Let's evaluate everything. So we'll get minus 2 squared. So we know that would be plus 4. We have m by negative 2, which is minus 2m. And we have minus 3. And we also will bring down this value now of the 4. Alright, so now we can solve for m. So what we're going to do is bring over this 4, bring over this 3, and we will change the sign. So 4 minus 4, the negative 3 becomes positive 3, and that's the right hand side, minus 2m, so there's no change on that side. Okay, everything looks good. So now we get m is equal to, these cancel, we will get 3, and also divide across by this one here, and that will give us a negative 2 down here. So m is equal to 3 over minus 2, which is also minus 3 over 2. Okay, so now we're going to replace the m value up here with the minus 3 over 2. So f of x now becomes x squared plus will be minus 3 over 2 x minus 3. So now for f of 6, substitute 6 instead of x now, and we will get 6 squared minus 3 over 2 by 6 minus 3. Let's start evaluating. 6 squared is 36. 3 by 6 is 18. Divide 18 by 2 and we get minus 9. And then we have a minus 3 already. So therefore that will be 36 minus 12 when we bring the minus 9 and minus 2 together. And that will give a 24. So if we look across, our answer will be D, which is 24.